These look absolutely amazing. Thoroughly recommend them.
When I opened up the sump to drain the oil, rather than the oil coming out, I've got water followed by grey gunk.
And one of the fog lights isn't working. It's in pieces.
Oh, Welcome back to the channel, another Raj's Garage car update. This time with my Slate Grey 964 C2. This car I haven't used at all in the last couple of years. The battery on this is shot. If I go for a drive, I park the car up the next day, the car will not start. So whilst we're changing the battery, Morimoto have sent me some brand new headlamps with built-in LED, which I did show you in the initial episode on Raj's Garage. So today we're going to change the lights as well. So guys, let's get into it. So guys, my Slate Grey 964 C2, which I've had for 9 years. This car over the period of 9 years has been subject to many improvements, modifications, changes, including the paint. This was originally a marine blue car, it's now Slate Grey. In fact, if you want to see more about this particular car, there's an episode on Cast TV, which I'll link up to here, which goes into a lot more depth about the journey with this car. Fresh Morimoto headlamps with built-in LED. I might as well just peel this back now. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Build quality on these is exceptional. 2 adapters as well, and the wiring harness which goes to the fuse box. So before we change the lights, we need to get this car running right, and that means changing the battery. The actual battery in this car does not hold any charge. If I drive for a day, leave it parked up, it won't start the next day, even if it's on a trickle charger. So this is not your typical frunk area in a 964. If you're familiar with the 964, you'll know that you'll have the carpet, which typically doesn't clip into place anyway. There is no spare wheel in this car. We've got obviously the airlift management here, and we've got the 3 tanks with the hard lines. The battery sits on this side. To get to it, we have to remove everything out. So before the engineers jump in and start stripping everything, let me show you the current beam on the standard 964 lights. Now, let's start her up. So guys, I never get tired of airing out. Always looks amazing slammed on the floor. So I think it's about time now the engineers jumped on the car, ripped the front out, pull these lights out and replace them with these gorgeous Morimoto examples. We've got one of our other projects here, my E30 M3 Convertible barn find. Now, this is a non-starter, non-runner, it's got no MOT. So what we're doing is going through the car to get it to start and get it ready for MOT. So I'm back with Jay. Hussein?
What's up?
Where are you at?
Carried out a full service on the car.
Perfect.
Doing some pre-MOT checks. Everything works. Everything is working. Switch was broken on the fog lights. We fixed that, and one of the fog lights isn't working. It's in pieces there.
Oh, well, that's the fog light.
Yeah, so it was like in an intact shape when we had it. So it's like this, and like
as soon as you took it out, it just fell apart.
It literally fell apart, man. And these are the pieces. Been having a quick look on eBay, as you do, or any other.
Well, we don't need brand new ones, do we?
No, we don't need brand new ones. I mean, I've had a quick look on eBay. There's loads of them around. There you go, pair of them.
£40.
40 quid, happy days.
There's a separate episode which is on the main Cast TV YouTube channel. Should already be live, and if it is, tap here, you can watch that. If not, in the description below, there'll be a link to that particular episode. The idea of this car is to get it up and running, get it through MOT, send it over to Maguire's, get it all detailed and clean, and then potentially it may be up for sale. So guys, the 10th car purchase of the year, the October purchase, a daily driver, something that I can use in all seasons, all weathers. With those requirements in mind, probably want something that's maybe four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Obviously it has to be some sort of sports car, but coming into winter, I won't be driving the classic cars because obviously there's a lot of salt and grit and crap on the roads. So it's something maybe a modern car, but with enough power. Now, I've narrowed it down to a 996. So I've gone on Piston Heads, as you can see here. This is my go-to site, and it gives a good overview of prices, cars, mileage, and different variants. The must-have requirements. I prefer the later Gen 2 996s. I don't like the Gen 1 lights because of the front fried egg lights, as you can see there. I also want a manual, so I don't want that slush box. Nothing wrong with it. I know some of you will have that, and I understand the usability, especially if you live in a city like London. It's, you know, caught in traffic, it's ideal. C4s and C4Ss are lovely cars. It's one of the best looking rear ends on any 911, but I want something with a lot more power. So let's now look at the 996 turbos. Want that bit more power, especially for B-road blasts. You know, sort of 35 to 40,000 pounds gets you a really good 996 turbo, albeit medium to high miles. You've got manual here, but it's over 100,000 miles. I don't want something with that kind of mileage. So I'm not making it easy on myself. And look guys, then we're getting into some of the rarer, that's got 2,500 miles on there. That's a Turbo S Cabriolet. So guys, this is not going to be an easy car to find. Yes, I've got a massive smile on my face, ear to ear grin. They look the absolute so I absolutely love them. We've replaced the battery as well, so we have got power. Jay, were they a mission? Were they a struggle?
There was a little bit of fiddling, but they fit really well, and they are super bright.
Yeah. So I guess you guys want to see how bright they are. Now it's 2:45 p.m. The best way for you guys to have an idea of how these lights perform is in the dark. So towards the end of this video, we'll get the car out and we'll go for a drive, and you can see how they perform outside on the road when it's a little bit darker. What we need to do now is get the boot build, the front build back in, get the hard lines back in. I've not driven the car for a good few months, so I've asked Jay just to check the suspension, check the airbags, make sure everything's good, everything's tight, give it a once over, and then we'll go for a drive. So guys, we're back in the workshop and we are now with one of my other projects, the God's Red 964 C2. There's already an episode that has just dropped on the channel a couple of weeks ago where we got this car to a running state. It had race harnesses which weren't working correctly, so we've added seat belts. The rear spoiler wasn't deploying when you hit 50 miles an hour. We fixed that, although it's not 100% fixed because it's still making a grinding noise. But one thing we realized at the end of that episode, when I went for a drive, came back, parked the car, it was leaking oil, but it was leaking oil in an unusual place. And Aman is here, rectifying that problem. He's got a bit of a look on him because it's not an easy fix, and he has got fat fingers. So what's the issue? What are you doing?
We diagnosed where the oil leak was coming from.
Hold on, you diagnosed, I didn't.
Okay, I diagnosed where the oil leak was coming from.
My job is to drive the cars.
Took the skirt off because this is where the oil lines run towards your oil cooler, which is where the leak was. Turns out it was coming from the oil level sender unit, where the gaskets perished, as well as the actual oil level sender unit mounting being very, very rusty. So I'm just trying to get it off at the moment. We've got a new unit, we've got a new gasket.
Is it a pain? Is it a pain or is it a...
I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to be a pain, but
It's become a...
yeah.
Why does that oil look like gunk?
I'll be honest, I don't know the answer to that. When I opened up the sump to drain the oil, Rather than the oil coming out, I've got water, followed by grey gunk, followed by very disgusting looking oil.
This is an air-cooled 964. Where's the water come from? So are you saying you managed to turn the water into oil?
Magically, yeah.
If you can box that, you make a lot of money. We'll talk off camera about that. This car gets, before I put the lights on, is pretty amazing, but now just driving through Hayes Town, everyone was taking pictures, looking at the car, and I think it is the lights because they just freshen up the front. The car looks like it's box fresh. It's just come out of the Porsche factory. This gives a lot more road presence, and obviously the function of the lights is to give you a clearer view, and they definitely do that. All right guys, let's get back to CAS HQ, and I'll park this alongside the red 964 and give you a full-on comparison between the old style lights and the new Morimoto lights. The 964 with the new Morimoto lights. We've got my red 964 here, which has got obviously the standard lights. Next up for this car, it'll be going to Northway Porsche. They will be giving it a good service and a once over, and just make sure the car is ready to push hard over the next few months. And if there are any areas of concern, they will obviously let me know. So a lot more content coming on this car, guys. Just remember, this is going to have a complete engine overhaul. It's going to get repainted, so bare metal. It won't be stained guards red. I will be changing the color, new suspension, new wheels, interior overhaul. This car is going to have a lot of love, so a lot of episodes on this car. Let's get back to my other 964, the Slate Grey 964, where you guys have obviously seen Jay install the new Morimoto lights. Admittedly, I wasn't sure before we opened them up, but now they're fitted, they look absolutely brilliant. Now, there was a little bit of fettling involved installing the lights. We had to drill a couple of new holes in the actual panel behind the bezel, but other than that, straightforward. It didn't take long, as you guys have probably seen. But yeah, I think they suit this car exceptionally well. Right guys, there you go. Very much a yellowy light, very much a clear light. DRLs, looks 21st century. That does look very much 1990s. But what do you guys think? My opinion, these look absolutely amazing. Thoroughly recommend them. Some of you guys who are sort of OEM Porsche guys will think, you know, I'm gonna stick to my original look. I prefer the 90s look. You know, we're all going to have different opinions, aren't we? Some of us are going to sit on the fence, and some of us are going to be like, well, that looks so good. Now, price for these lights, they are available from us, our sister company, thetuningstore.co.uk. I don't think there's any stock in the UK at this present time, but there will be imminently. There's a link in the description below, and it gives you information on these lights and a rough idea of cost. Drop us an email or a DM if you're interested in buying, and we can give you an idea of lead times. What do you think of the lights, guys? But these are just a couple of the cars that we'll be covering on my personal YouTube channel, Raj's Garage. There are other cars in the mix as well, which you will get to see. This channel is more about what I get up to with my cars, less of the business content. We'll leave that for CAS TV. Now, guys, there's another Porsche that I'm considering buying, the 996 variant. Now, recently I've started looking at 996 turbos. I'm not sure if I want a Turbo S. I've even looked at 996 GT3s. I want it as a car that I can use maybe as a daily, so I think that's why the GT3 is probably not a good idea. So the next episode that drops will be me looking at 996. And hopefully by the time the episode drops, I might actually have one in my fleet, or might have done a deal. So guys, you know what you need to do. Make sure you smash the like button for this particular episode. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you know when the next episode drops. And I will see you again, either on Cast TV or on Raji's Garage. Thanks for watching.